Welcome, I'm Tracy Wallach. In this lecture, I will be discussing the 4 leadership discourses as described by Simon Western. Dr. Western is the founder of the Echo Leadership Institute, CEO of Analytic Network Coaching, adjunct professor at University College Dublin, past president of the International Society for the Psychoanalytic Study of Organizations, and an author of books and blogs. Previously, he worked as a factory worker, general nurse, psychiatric nurse, family therapist, clinical NHS manager, academic, and organizational consultant. Simon is a Quaker, cyclist, and lover of the outdoors. He currently lives in the wild west coast of Ireland. Dr. Western's research, first published in 2008 in his book Leadership, A Critical Text, found that 4 dominant discourses of leadership emerged in the West over the past century, driven by changing social, technological, and environmental changes taking place in the West. Dr. Western identified these 4 approaches as controller, therapist, messiah, and eco-leadership. Science, rationalism, and efficiency were the driving force as modernity took hold and drove forward with mass production and urbanization. Controller leadership was epitomized by assembly lines, such as in Ford automobile plants, with tight control of workers and processes, and scientific management. Today, controller leadership is returning through algorithmic management, target, and audit cultures. The digital age has enabled new efficiencies and new ways to control workers using science via big data and digital surveillance. McDonald's food chain is a classic example of controller leadership, applying scientific rigor to the mass production of food so that wherever you go, the quality is precisely the same. Their efficiency focus keeps costs low. Low-cost airlines also applied controller leadership to achieve radical efficiencies that changed the airline industry. The controller discourse is emphasized in many business schools. Therapist leadership discourse arose from the democratization and human relations movement after the Second World War. It became dominant in the late 1960s, bringing the therapeutic countercultural ideas of expressing emotions, individualism, and personal growth into the workplace via psychologists and personnel departments. Workers came to work on themselves, and leaders focused on motivating rather than controlling employees. Therapist leadership is found in human resource departments, leadership development teams, and organizations who believe people are their strongest asset. In the 1980s, messiah leadership appeared following an economic slump in the West. Charismatic and transformational leaders were sought to turn around failing companies. Transformational leaders would passionately set out visions and engineer strong organizational cultures. Strong cultures reduced the need for layers of management as employees were self-motivated, identifying with the leader's vision. Messiah leadership can energize organizations, and it can also create conformist, cult-like cultures. Steve Jobs and other new technological companies are examples of messiah leadership. It is not just the charisma of the leader that matters, but the strong cultures they engineer, such as at Netflix and Google. Founder-led organizations also have strong messiah leaders and often struggle when the founders leave. Eco-leadership emerged as a new leadership discourse at the turn of the 21st century to address the technological, social, and environmental disruptions that were transforming work, society, and the planet. Eco-leadership drew on a systemic and holistic response, realizing that, as Dr. Western writes, organizations are ecosystems within ecosystems. Eco-leadership takes an ethical approach, but is also highly relevant as it addresses the challenges of the digital age, creating adaptive organizations with more distributed leadership. An example of this approach is Patagonia, an ethically driven clothes company that focuses on environmental sustainability and social justice and that distributes leadership within the organization. In further research, Dr. Western found that these discourses were present across the globe. All discourses have positive and negative aspects. It's the balance of how each works together in each specific organization that matters. Having researched and identified these 4 discourses, Dr. Western went on to develop a specific theory and practice of eco-leadership. His desire was to develop a pragmatic and ethical approach to leadership and organizational culture that departed from 20th century leadership approaches that are no longer fit for purpose. Eco-leadership is described in more depth in a separate video lecture. Eco-leadership balances the 4 discourses inside organizations to help them adapt to each particular context. Externally, eco-leaders assess the technological, social, and environmental disruptions so they can stay ahead of the curve and lead adaptive and emergent change. All these discourses remain with us and can be seen in all organizations. The discourses work together, sometimes in harmony and sometimes in tension. 1 or 2 discourses dominate each organization. Leadership discourses shape organizational structure and form. Controller leadership creates a traditional pyramid hierarchy, although in its new form, control comes through digital networks via targets and surveillance. Therapist leadership forms strong teams across the organization with the leader at the center of followers. Messiah leadership creates a flat organization with a charismatic leader or leaders at the top and devoted followers below. Eco-leadership creates organizational ecosystems with leaders dispersed everywhere, and leadership and followership interchangeable and not fixed. Dr. Western founded the Eco-Leadership Institute in 2021 to support organizations in this work. The Eco-Leadership Institute is both a think tank and a developmental hub with trained eco-coaches and consultants across the globe. Eco-leadership practitioners work collaboratively with individuals, teams, and organizations to deliver system change. Eco-leaders recognize that small changes lead to bigger changes, and network change can go viral. Social movements have led societal change from the edges of society, and eco-leadership often begins at the edges of organizations. Eco-leadership has been applied to the health sector, nonprofits, global tech companies, banks, manufacturing, education, retail, and startups. Eco-leadership is about unleashing leadership everywhere and taking an ethical stance. The purpose? Developing eco-leadership practice to create the good society. Discover your hidden leadership approach at www.hiddenleadership.com, a questionnaire based on Dr. Western's 4 discourses of leadership. To read more about eco-leadership, please see the following references. For more information about my leadership consulting and coaching practice, please visit me at www.tracywallach.com.